more on this. No wonder that in a new Gallup poll, by the way, actual Americans point to immigration as the issue most important to them, right behind our government. So why aren't the activists, the politicians, the majority of the media listening to you? Here to debate, Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE and a Fox News contributor, and Lisa Johnson-Firth is a principal of Immigrants First and a professor of law at Georgetown University. It's good to have you both. Let's start with you, Professor. I understand that there's a great humanitarian story to be told here. There are thousands and thousands of people, and indeed millions probably in Central America. I've spent a lot of time in El Salvador and Guatemala, and I know the people well. I know the place well. Beautiful countries, very corrupt. But most of these aren't asylees. Most of these are economic migrants. And by our own Border Patrol, even during Obama, most of them were overwhelmingly rejected. So why isn't the metering slowing this down so we can process people in an orderly way? Why isn't that the right way to go?
Well, first, I would take issue that they are economic migrants. If you read the State Department report on any of these countries, the Northern Triangle, they're some of the most violent countries in the world. Gangs have, as you noted, taken over those countries. They're very corrupt and very dangerous. And so I would say I've been practicing immigration law for about 16 years. 10 years ago, yes, I was seeing many more economic migrants. Now I believe that I'm seeing in my caseload true asylum seekers fleeing horrific gang violence.
But that's not really that's not one of the credible, that doesn't work on the credible fear calculus, does it?
Those cases are difficult to win because of the way asylum law has been constructed.
So you think it should be more lenient than it is now?
I think that, first of all, getting to the metering, I'm going to address your issue, but getting to the metering issue, when we are having people report to ports of entry rather than being able to cross the border wherever, which is obviously being challenged, Trump's decision to have that, we're basically forcing a huge population to go through very small entry points. And in the process of waiting, those people are subject to violence while they're waiting. I just interviewed a woman last week who was raped while waiting at the border. She'd actually been gang raped 60 times in her process of coming to the United States. And so I think we're increasing the danger. Obviously, some people will turn back. I think it is a way that the government's discouraging people from legitimately presenting asylum claims at the border that they're entitled to under U.S. law and under international law.
Tom, I think the politicians have really blown this. I mean, I have no doubt that horrific things, we already know horrific things have happened to children, to women, and to others, and there are criminal elements within the migrant caravan. We know that. That's already been proven. But politicians refuse to do what they need to do to make this system work. They refuse. And right now on Capitol Hill, the light's still on over there. They're not going to do anything.
Well, look, the politicians, as you said, it's a political ploy what they're doing down there. They went down and got this group of 15, moved them to the front of the line, and had the 2,500 people that were waiting in line playing by the rules. I got to disagree with you. I've been enforcing immigration law about twice as long as you've been practicing it. And I'm telling you, most of these people are not legitimate asylum seekers. Violence is not a claim for asylum, and 90% lose it. What the politicians ought to be doing, rather than going out there and pulling a political ploy like they're doing, they ought to be here in Washington, D.C., fixing the loopholes in our immigration laws that causes these caravans to even exist in the first place. I've been up on Hill many times this past year with the Secretary, raise the asylum bar, address the Florida settlement agreement, give ICE detention money so it's not back to catch and release. If they close these loopholes, they will stop a lot of this illegal immigration, but it isn't about protecting the border. It isn't about closing loopholes. It's about taking on the Trump administration. It's about politics, head of public safety and national security.
I want to play something. This was Joe Scarborough this morning, who was a Republican. I guess is no longer a Republican. He made this comment. Let's watch.
I believe that when you come to the United States, you should come here legally. This is what is lost in this argument. These people coming to America now are coming here legally. They are seeking refugee status. And that is legal. And as far as America being overloaded, there's a net negative flow back into Mexico.
Right.
Net negative flow back into Mexico. But it's not Mexico that's the point, right? It's just more as the Central American, as you say, the Triangle folks are the ones who are coming in.
We got to take it back to the basics.
But they're not refugees, they're asylees. He's totally mixing up the terminology.
He needs to study the issue before he starts talking, but we got to get back to the original issue. If they are really escaping fear and persecution from Honduras, they're in Mexico. All right, they've already escaped that fear and persecution, and they ought to be claiming asylum in the first safe place they come to. A couple of thousand people already took Mexico up on that. So it isn't about escaping fear and persecution. This is about getting to the United States because of maybe violence, because they're going to rejoin family members illegally already here.
And I want the professor to react to this. It looks like the United States is going to give billions of dollars to Mexico and to Central America, in part to try to help them keep people in their homelands and also give people jobs in Mexico. I guess, what is it, $4.6 billion that came out today? I guess that's, it looks like they're not going to, they're not giving that money for nothing. That money is going, I think, in part, say, look, you got to stop this flow coming up to the United States. You got to start incorporating people into Mexico. Why aren't the people staying in Mexico?
Because Mexico is not safe either. The same gangs and cartels that are in Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala are also in Mexico.
So do you think everybody from those countries should just be able to come because it's a bad place? Because there are a lot of bad places around the world.
I would say that if you look at the American history and our history in Central America of what we've done over the past 100 years, that we have created a lot of the refugee crisis.
So it's kind of a reparations thing.
I believe in part that it is. That, yes, we should be sending money to those countries to help establish safer governments, more accountable governments, but it's also, that's not going to happen overnight. And in the meantime, we do have thousands, particularly of women and children, who are fleeing for their lives. And that must be addressed, and we have an international obligation to address that.
International obligation. Tom.
The facts of the matter is, as I was the ICE director, we removed thousands of people from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador to their countries every day. And there's no claim of fear. These planes are full. Several planes a week go down to all three of those countries. Very few Mexicans claim asylum, so I don't agree with Mexico not being a safe place. We don't have a lot of Mexicans claim asylum for reasons. So again, we got to get back to the basics of what's really going on here. These are people who want to come to this country for a better life. Can't blame them for that.
No.
But you can't want to be a part of the greatest country on earth and not respect its laws. You can't have it both ways.
Well, you're skipping the line, but they're also using the system as it exists today. The system is ridiculous. And the fact that this crowd up on Capitol Hill will not address this, tonight they should be addressing this issue. It is a crisis. The crisis on our southern border has been for a long time. Great debate, you guys. Thank you so much.